Hi, this is Donald Austin. I'm a director with WorkatoPacific. I want to welcome everyone. This is our second in our series for sourcing organizations. So this is the second of four. And today we're going to be talking about demand planning. So it's sort of a crystal ball that helps you become a lot more efficient and a lot more automated. So we'll spend the next 20 minutes or so talking about how it works and some of the benefits and give you a few specific examples. So demand planning. So a lot of our clients, they start with a system or a solution, and demand planning is one of the things that they evolve to over time as you get a bit more sophisticated and a bit more data. So demand and supply planning, it adds value and a pretty high return on investment in a number of ways. Here's four. Number one, you can predict your required inventory and item purchase requirements based on your historical demand or sales forecast. You can automatically transfer inventory where it's needed, which saves a lot of time. There's better customer service via more accurate and timely orders and delivery. And then a very big one, there's reduced inventory costs because you're more efficient and you have a lot better planning based on the data. So those are four areas with a high return on investment, and we'll talk about each of them as we go through the presentation here. So what's the general process? So the process itself is not that complex. Generally, I would calculate demand. I would generate some demand plans. So you can have different versions of the plan based on different scenarios. Then I look at my supply and have my supply plans. And once those are approved, then I start the process of procuring my items or my inventory. Now, there's different ways to do this. A lot of people do something similar now on spreadsheets, but using the system, you have a lot more data and you can use a bit more sophisticated models. So four models that are often used are a linear regression to base your demand. There's a moving average, or you can look at seasonal average. A lot of clients have a seasonal business, or sales forecast. So if you have your sales data, whether it be leads, opportunities, etc., you can use that or a combination of these to predict the demand. So again, these are things that are harder to do in spreadsheets, but once you have the data in the system, it becomes quite easy. So a general overview of the process for demand and supply planning. So I use my sellable items. I may have time phases that I need to look at. I have different sources, so it could be my own inventory, it could be suppliers. I might look at historical sales or a pipeline, and then I'm looking at my calculation method, like we just talked about, whether it's a moving average or regression or seasonal. Then I come up with my demand plan. So this is what I need to sell. This is what I will sell or I plan to sell. And then that leads into looking at your supply and how do you meet that demand via your supply. So again, you look at some different things for your items. Do I have reorder points? What are my replenishment triggers? Do I have specific safety stock requirements? Do I have lead time requirements? Are there seasonal impacts or other things? So all these go into the calculations that come up with the supply plan, and then you can make decisions from there, and we'll look at a few of those and how it happens. So it's a lot of steps or a lot of detail to go through, but the system actually handles a lot of this for you. So you can focus more on making sure the data is correct and then taking the actions once the plans are ready. So how do we get there from here? So if you're looking at demand planning and trying to get something started, there's a few things to look at. So here's kind of an overall view of what goes into the process. Now, this is not every company would use every part of this. It really depends on your business and how complex you are. So for example, if you're just a sourcing company, you're probably not doing any manufacturing, so you're not looking at stuff particularly at a component level. But in a nutshell, there's a few things to think about. So one, I've got my transactional system. So this is where my daily transactions take place, and all this information gets fed into my planning repository, right? So this is how the plan is calculated based on this. And then I come up with a supply plan. And then there's the planning engine, which is sort of a black box, really. The data goes in, the plans run, and then I can view the plans through what's called a planning workbench. And this is where the real action takes place. So I can look at my results, I can look at the recommended actions, exceptions, I can change my supply or demand details, and then I can do pegging as well. Pegging is really important for a lot of clients because this is how you can match up your supply and your demand exactly. So I can peg certain orders and items that I'm going to buy to certain client orders. to make sure they're accurate and on time. And then once you're satisfied with the plans, then you implement the plans, right? So I implement my purchase orders, my transfer orders, or if I'm doing manufacturing, I might implement my work orders. So these can automatically be released from the plan, again, to save time. And of course, the information goes back into your transactional system. So when you run it's a big cycle. So when you run the plans again and again, they get more and more accurate every time. So really the key is having the correct data and the correct setup in the first place. Then you start running the plans. Because if the data is not correct, the plans won't give you the right results. So, for example, if I have a 5-day lead time on an item, but I put in there that it's only got a 2-day lead time, the calculation is not going to be optimal. So these are some of the things you think about when you start to set it up. Again, item, structure, and attributes. This is key. Which attributes to use and set, it depends on your individual business. So some businesses are not so complex. You won't need a lot of that, but some are. So you might have safety stock you need. You might have lot sizes you need. You might have different sources for your supply or different periods. So these are things you need to think about at first, and you set that up in your system, and this is NetSuite in this case, and then the calculations are much more accurate. So setting up the items is number one. And then I will look at my supply plan. So the supply plan contains specific criteria that the planner is going to use, right? So you can have multiple plans for different reasons. So for example, you might have one plan for existing products and components because you kind of have a better feel for how those are and what those are going to do. And then you might have another plan for upcoming products, so it's not quite as fine-tuned. So you can segregate your plans in different ways, and you can group the items in different ways. And your plan might include a time horizon, locations, and different rules. Again, this is hard to do. It's hard to get this sophisticated in spreadsheets, but it's quite easy to do in the system once you get the core data set up. So then you get into the planning workbench. So as I said earlier, this is really the heart of the process. So it shows the results of the plans, and it provides an analysis of the results. It can make suggestions, promotes exception handling, and then we'll examine in detail over the next few slides. You can look at your actual supply, your actual demand, actions to take, and exceptions, and why you have exceptions. So if we just look at this one, I can see an item. I've got what my inventory is on hand, what's on order, what my late demand is, and then I can look at what actions are recommended. So there's 4 actions in this case. I've got 8 exceptions, and then my overall supply and demand. You can see there's a slight mismatch on this one. And you can run it for different dates and periods. So this workbench is really important, and this is something that the planner role will use on a daily basis, and they'll use this workbench to drive what actually happens once the final decisions are made. So actions and exceptions. So again, this is something that spreadsheets really can't do. So the system will generate recommendations based on the planned results, and these can be executed immediately. So in this case, the system is saying you might want to consider releasing a proposed transfer order as it's nearing its lead time threshold. So it'll do order by order, it'll provide recommendations. But there might be areas that can't be completed in time for the fulfillment of the demand. So again, the system's going to tell you what's wrong. So in this case, there's insufficient lead time for this particular order. So you can actually look at the exceptions, and then you can make a decision on what you need to do or what you might need to change. When you look at your supply detail, I can look at all my information in one place, right? So all my work orders, in this case, all my transfer orders, and then I can peg the orders if I want to, and then I can release them automatically or release them right here from the screen. So again, there's no need to go and do a document, do a purchase order, whatever. It all happens automatically. So that saves a huge amount of time and speeds up your general business cycle time as well with this level of automation. So again, the end result is order execution and automation. So you've simplified the process of creating purchase orders, transfer orders, or work orders. And there's a number of ways to help keep the process going so people don't forget and they stay involved. So you might set up reminders, email alerts, or scheduled reports. Now we talked about exceptions. Exceptions do always exist, but you may have a certain shortage, or you may have very important customers that need special attention. We're not showing this, but you can also prioritize certain types of orders and have the system perform reallocations automatically. So you might have a customer, for example, that maybe there's a penalty if the order is late. So you want to prioritize those types of orders so that they're always met to avoid the penalty, and of course to keep the customer happy as well. So lots of things you can do with this. Again, we looked at supply detail, demand detail is very similar. I can analyze the demand side of the equation and the sources that needed to be fulfilled by the supply orders. I can look at my actual demand. I can look at forecast demand if I want, and also safety stock. So these are different sources that you can look at to help make decisions. So what do I do with all this? So I've added a certain level of automation. I've got a lot of data, and what that means is I've got a lot of information I can use for reports. So this is based on NetSuite, and these are just some standard reports that would all use information that is part of the supply and the demand process. So lots of inventory reports, profitability, location, value. You can take out a gross profit by item, sales by item. So all these are important. There's specific areas around demand planning, so I can look at my history, my items, my plans by items, and then forecast versus actual to see how well I'm doing. And then this is really, really valuable, KPIs, right? So I can set up key performance indicators that can be used on a daily basis. When I log in on my dashboard, I see my KPIs to help make sure that the process stays on track and you're getting the value. So again, that data repository that we looked at earlier, there's a lot of reports you can do with this, a lot of information, and you can automate with this. And again, you can add your own as well. So just let me take a quick look at one of our existing clients who's going through the implementing demand planning right now. So let me just flip to that.
If you go back to the whole demand planning thing, having the right things in the right places at the right time is, in my book, the way we treat customers better.
我日常咧用 NetSuite 就係會查 inventory 啦，去睇翻唔同 item 嘅 inventory level 啦。提前去做一啲計劃啦。我哋而家通常同 supplier 做，可能都係有3個月個時間嘅計劃嘅。我哋會俾一個master PO 俾嗰個 vendor 去預備一啲non-lead time 物料啦。咁而去可以令到我哋後邊3個月內嘅訂單安排會順暢啲嘅。咁亦都幫助到我哋自己啦，出貨嘅安排啦，亦都好大幫助就係喺 supplier 嗰邊佢哋自己嗰個 production 嘅計劃去做一個安排咯。咁我覺得兩方面都係有得益嘅。
喺我當時咧就係幫助我好多咯，因為我啱啱 join 呢間公司嘅時候咧，係完全唔知道 NetSuite 係點樣用嘅。
我哋工作上面運用嘅狀況Workbench 都其實可以俾到一啲佢哋之前一啲經驗咧，去帶到落我哋公司，去希望我哋都用得更好啦，用 system。
So those guys are great fun. Some really interesting products, and they're using the demand planning to really optimize their inventory mix and also their delivery. So let's just kind of do a follow-up. So what do you get with this? So there's really about 6 or 7 things that you're targeting to get with the demand planning. So, and in no particular order really, reduced inventory cost, that's a big one for everyone. Operational efficiency, so I'm speeding things up. Hopefully you can see as you go through this process, the level of automation and having the information at your fingertips, you can really speed up your operations. If your demand is volatile, you can respond faster to that. Improved communication and alignment. So most clients you have different departments. I've got a procurement department, a sales department, an executive area. So improving communications because everyone knows where they stand, and then it aligns your operational reality with the executive plans, right? So you're targeting some high-level plans, and you can align that together because you have the information. You can make the right decisions. All of that results at the end in improved profitability, which is what we're all looking for. So these are the targets that you want to shoot for, and you can actually measure them. We talked about the reports a couple of slides ago and the KPIs, so you can put KPIs in place to measure each one of these things quite easily. So it just drives that performance through the organization. So next steps, if you're interested in this, just contact us for a copy of the presentation. We're happy to do a demonstration, a custom demonstration and topic review and demand planning. Everybody's different, so that's why I think the custom demonstration really helps, because you have different levels of complexity and different types of business. So that's important. And then we can help you with the business case development. So if demand planning is something that is worthwhile for your organization, we can help you with the metrics and the understand your business model and how to get that implemented and measure the profitability of it. So coming up next week, we're going to continue the series. Next week will be the third of the series. So we're going to talk about e-commerce for sourcing, so integration with Amazon, Taobao, and some others. So what we're seeing in clients is even if you just do traditional sourcing, people are starting to get involved in e-commerce as well. But it's a different things you have to think about. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week. So please sign up for the webinar. That should be a really fun one, actually. So a quick introduction to WorkatoPacific, if this is the first of the series you've attended. So we are based in Hong Kong, but we support clients around the world, as you can see from the map. We have a number of people here and also in a development center in the Philippines. So it's a good organization, very multinational, very multicultural, so we do work with a lot of different types of clients. The three solutions we focus on, so we focus on business optimization and business improvement and digitization based on cloud technology. So for the enterprise resource planning, we focus with Oracle NetSuite, which is it's the most powerful cloud-based ERP solution. It's a single platform, covers multiple companies, multiple countries, multiple subsidiaries, really end-to-end business processes from finance, sales, supply chain, distribution, everything, warehouse management. So it's an excellent solution. We work with Workato, which is a leader in no-code automation and integration. So it's a fantastic solution for automating the connections between maybe your own systems or systems outside your company. So with vendors or customers or clients or things like that. You can automate a lot of these transactions, really take the manual steps out. And then the last one is UiPath, which is a leader in robotic process automation. So it allows businesses to automate repetitive processes across anything really, from email response, data entry, system updates. We have clients using it for automatic web-based research. It's really great. And robots run, of course, they can run 24/7. And the real value there is they free up your team members to focus on more valuable functions in the organization rather than just entering data. So if you're interested in any of those three solutions, just for any reason, give us a call. We'd love to share some information about how we're using those. So services, we're a full service business and consulting firm. So we help with business process design, implementation, training and mentoring. We do a lot now. We see around dashboard and KPI design and development, and then also automation with workflow and some of these tools that we just talked about. Sourcing, this is a sourcing series, so we do have a number of sourcing clients that we're proud to work with. There are some videos that are on our website, so please go to the website and check those out if you want. It's always valuable to hear what our clients have to say, and we'd love to share that information. But we do more than sourcing as well. So we've worked with e-commerce and distribution, manufacturing, financial services, and some startups and high tech. And again, there's some more videos on our website, so really encourage you to go check those out. As I said, hopefully it came across in the presentation, our approach is really business model first. So we want to make sure we understand your business model and how you work, and then we can define and drive the solution based on that, so you get the optimal results. So again, thanks for attending today. Please feel free to contact me or anyone at WorkatoPacific if you want more information on this. And we look forward to next week on the next of the series. So thanks very much for your time.